I mean, I do well, I guess, with the spotlight, but like I have a following, but I'm not a huge following, and I'm sure you can attest to this, that it's sometimes you want to throw your phone in the river.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Everything, there's not bad news. It's not like you're dealing with bad shit. You're just dealing with shit.
Hunger for what?
Hunger for more.
Welcome to another episode of the Hunger for More podcast. I'm Ricky Ortiz, and today I have a special guest with me, a highly sought-after sneaker customizer by professional athletes, entertainers, as well as Fortune 500 companies who just recently put out his own branded sneaker, Jake Danklefs. All right, Jake. Well, thanks for coming on the show, man.
I appreciate it, yeah.
I want to say I've been a good fan of you for a bit, for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
I remember first being introduced to the brand. Actually, it wasn't even from anybody like sharing it or anything like that. I think I just ran into your page on Instagram.
Cool.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit of a sneakerhead.
Yeah.
Right now I'm a little boring. I just stick to New Balances and stuff like that. But I got a good little respectable collection.
Yeah, of course.
But I've seen some of the stuff that you put out, way back a couple years ago, not too far back. Obviously, man, some amazing work.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well respected, obviously, in the industry. And then I start seeing more, like you work with a lot of the same people in town that I know that and things like that in the scene. The majority of what you do is fully custom, right?
Yeah, so it's, basically we do custom shoes, and it's not like a lot of people think we have like a stock room full of shoes, and it's not like that. Like everything's made once ordered. And the other thing about it is like it's not a retail thing, because we're buying shoes at retail and then putting in hours of work onto them after that. It's more of we're contracted like artists, basically. Now, luckily, very selective with the businesses that we take on or with the projects that we take on. Not only the companies that we work with, but, celebrity, athlete clientele, and even just like the standard individual, the regular old guy that just wants a dope pair of shoes. We get inquiries all day, but we kind of have the luxury right now to like pick and choose which ones of those do we want to take on. And when we do take them on, the average customer waits anywhere from 9 months to a year.
Wow.
For their stuff. But we make sure that they know that up front, for the average custom stuff, which is kind of why we wanted to reduce those wait times for the average clientele and offer them a product like our cutback, so our shoe that we just dropped.
Which I pre-ordered.
Yep.
Dude, I mean, I love it. Like retro Spurs colors, can't beat it. I think, and for me, it was just dope just to see it come out of the city. You know what I'm saying? Because,
exactly.
There's a lot of creatives in the city. There's people doing things in music and sports. Entertainment. I feel like San Antonio's finally getting an identity, if you will. But for me, and I think for a lot of people in the culture, sneakers is like life, man. You know what I'm saying? Like we spend tons of money on it.
Yeah.
The exclusives, all the.
Yeah.
It ain't like it's nothing new either. I mean, sneakers have been hot since I was a kid, and I'm 38. You know what I mean? And
I'm the same.
I remember, honestly, the little backstory on me is that one of the first things that I ever really, really wanted to do, for years, was specifically be a sneaker designer. And I'm talking like 6th grade, so 1995. You know what I mean? Something like that. 92, 93. In that time, when I lived in Chicago and I saw Jordans as they were being dropped as he was playing and winning championships and stuff like that. So back then, though, it wasn't nowhere near what it is today, right? It's like you had to wait for a drop. If it came out, you were lucky to get one, but there was no resale market the way that there is today.
And they dropped on a certain day, and you could usually go to the mall, and they were usually there,
Exactly.
But like, unless it was like an 11 during the holidays or something, it probably would have sold out.
Or something like that, But man, I remember, when I see your Instagram reels and you talk about like design and how you created the design and all that stuff, I just remember being, 10 years old and like literally drawing like sneakers from the side view, from the top view and stuff like that. So it's something that I've always like, I guess I want to say have a passion for it because I didn't actually do anything in it, but definitely have had an interest in it. So to see you do it, it's really cool, man, to watch, to see somebody like work with the type of clientele that you've worked with, build a career out of it, really a whole life out of it. You know? What inspired you to even start this? Like, when did you get your start? Like, give me a little bit of the backstory.
Yeah, so it's similar to you, like drawing shoes as a kid. I started drawing shoes when I was like 4. That was like in like 89. And it was only because my brother was 14 years old, and I saw he had way cooler shoes on than I had. And
Did you have the LA Gear light ups and stuff? Or
I did.
Me too.
I have a picture of me, like on like my 5th or 6th birthday with a pair. And they were all white high tops with orange and blue hits on them.
Classic.
But they had all 3 lace colors laced in them.
That's dope.
So it was a blue, orange, and white laces, all 3 of them.
That was the brand,
so when
man.
you tie it
Gears,
up, it was all 3 lace colors.
LA Gears was the brand.
I looked like I was like a New York Knicks cheerleader or something, you know. But I would draw. My mom was an artist, so she got me doing art at a very early age. And then when I noticed the shoes and just was infatuated with that, I started incorporating shoes into my artwork. And like, I've always been into cars, you know, got into surfing, and like all those things are things that I would incorporate into my drawings at that time. But for whatever reason, the shoes took precedent back then. And Mom would even make copies of my sneaker designs at work. She would take them, put them on the Xerox, you know, make copies and bring them home. And that was like my coloring book, was these drawings that I did. She'd blow them up, you know, and
that's dope.
yeah, and then make a stack of 20 of them. Here's blank shoe design, basically. You know, color it, you know.
Is it funny that moms are the ones that support like that the most, or specifically in your interest? Because I can't really think too many times in my life where my dad took me to buy shoes as a little kid, but my mom would take me. Like she'd get me, she'd get me the shoes. She'd stack up or whatever. And
my mom was always the one to take us, go to Windsor Park, you know, and go to the Wendy's upstairs and go to the Foot Locker up there and all.
We were
that.
a little spoiled, man. In Chicago, being a kid, I guess that was kind of like the mecca.
Yes, you didn't grow up here.
Yeah, I didn't grow up here in Chicago.
When did you move here?
I was 14.
Okay.
You know, so I was already. It was like my first year of. Actually, it was my second year of 9th grade, so I didn't do too much school. But anyway, you know, coming here was like. You got spots, definitely. You said Windsor Park Mall. I actually worked at Foot Locker for a few years too, because I love sneakers so much. You get the 50% discount.
Yep.
You were able to get dope shit here.
Yeah.
But in Chicago, you know, like I said, being there in the 90s, being there, like it was everything, man. Air Forces. I remember just seeing like the big wave of, you know, when those came out, where they became more popular.
Yeah.
You know, they were just all over the place.
I couldn't imagine growing up in Chicago during that time.
Yeah, it was a little weird though. I remember specifically there was colors I was not allowed to wear. Because of neighborhoods, you know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't wear nothing gold or nothing this because of, you know.
I grew up out in the country. I didn't have to worry about that, luckily. But
I remember my dad telling me that no, you can't get anything yellow.
I'm sure.
Like, why not? And then it took me like 5 years to figure out. I'm like, oh, that's why.
I'm sure. I don't know. Skrulls, did we have that kind of thing going on here? Yeah. Okay.
On the 90s, I'm sure there was a couple things you couldn't do around here. Like, you know,
I kind of lucked out being out in the country. I didn't have to worry about that. But yeah, the custom shoe thing kind of like, or the drawing of shoes back then and then the coloring, you know, she would even take ones that she thought was good and she would put them in an envelope and address them to 1 Bowerman Drive, Beaverton, Oregon, and send them to Nike. We never got anything back or heard anything back.
Damn, she did it like that? She sent them to Nike?
Yeah, she would do that. I was like 5, 6. Yeah.
Dude, that's love, man. That's crazy.
And that started, I think, with her because, like, when she was a kid, she would send random letters to, like, different people, like celebrities or whatever, you know, just to see if they'd write back. And she ended up inviting, at that time, when she was in high school, she was graduating, she invited Lyndon B. Johnson, the president, to her graduation. And Lady Bird Johnson ended up sending a letter back to her, like signed it and everything. We still have that letter.
That's wild, man.
It's crazy. Dope. Yeah. I don't think you would have that today.
You got to shoot your shot. You know what I mean?
You got to shoot your shot. Yeah, but I don't know if that kind of thing would happen today. You won't even answer a DM, you know?
Yeah, right. At what point did you take it from, okay, I'm going to draw to I'm going to dissect the shoe and try and customize it? Because that's a whole other. I painted shoes, but I never took apart a shoe. You know what I mean?
So that went from, you know, life goes on, you know, and I got, you know, as I got older, then got into other things, back into it again later. And it's one of those things where, like, it just was in and out of my life. Mm-hmm. But art always had been a part of my life. And then I got a job where I kind of started having money to buy shoes, you know, things that I always wanted. That started fueling a collection, which then started fueling this drive to research more online, you know, and this is still way before social media. but like research it more online. And in doing so, finding like-minded people in the city that were into shoes. And that's when the whole sneaker show thing.
I remember that.
So this is like 06, 07. That started coming into play and meeting these people. And then I had a friend, Ucosta, Aaron Castillo here in town. He wanted a portrait of a Jordan 4. He bought 2 canvases. He got the painting and I got the other canvas. So he got a damn good deal with that. But that kind of sparked the art with sneakers again. And then I kind of started going like, man, if I could paint a sneaker on a canvas, why can't I make the shoe my canvas? So then I started doing that. And like painting there was no reference for what is right, what is wrong. I just started trying to figure it out and do my research. And back then there was no YouTube videos on how to paint shoes or anything like that. There was nothing like that. So it was more like I would get paint from Walmart and that wouldn't work. What kind of paint would stick to leather and how to make it work, and that's how I found Angelus paints on like turtlefeathers.net was the only website that would sell Angelus paint back then. It was a weird website. It looked like Craigslist. Didn't ever know if you were actually going to get anything from it. But I would get my paint that way and then start painting shoes, and it just kind of flourished from there.
I think I attempted to dissect some shoes maybe once. I grew up with around upholstery also, like a couple of things. My grandparents were in the food business, but my mom and my dad had an upholstery shop. So my dad built custom furniture, really nice pieces, man. I mean, you're talking like crazy expensive, like one chair, 20 G's. And this is like, 90s. Okay. Stuff like that. So
I was hoping you were going to say like 60s.
No, his style of stuff that he does, dude, retro, like super vintage. He would take those like
the modern, like
super, like everything,
post-modern.
Man, super modern. I mean, like I don't know the exact style that it's called, but the one with all the buttons in it and all the leather and stained wood and all that stuff. So he would reupholster, very expensive vintage pieces, 150-year-old pieces of furniture, things like that. So really expensive, detailed, highly skilled stuff. Yeah. So I grew up around a sewing machine too. I'd actually always fuck up my dad's sewing machine. And my mom, she was obviously like the biggest supporter, right? So she learned how to do upholstery and she grew up around it as well. So that, I think the upholstery thing kind of one of the I guess the dreams that I never really pursued, but I did try a little bit. I dropped out of high school, got my GED. The idea of college had, came up. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, well, I really wanted to do the shoe thing. Yeah. I actually, bad mistake. I shouldn't have gone because it's crazy expensive. But I went to the Art Institute to try their fashion design program, thinking like I'm going to learn about how to, make clothing, make shoes, so I can do something in urban, urban style clothing, hip hop stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And then specifically, shoes. Went in for like one semester and realized it was just a fucking waste of money. Wow. You know what I mean? And but it was stemmed from being around like the machines and like the fabrics and like really, my parents were artists too, you know what I'm saying? Like, totally. Taking something that is 100 years old, 80, 50 years old or whatever, and is completely run down and making it look brand new and then, selling it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's still having the character and
having the character,
the
style,
the aura that it had, the history that you want to remain in it.
So man, what was I guess, life goes on, you're working on things, you're in and out of it. When did you actually make that transition into like, okay, I'm going to start like making like messing with shoes and like taking them apart?
So I started, before the taking apart thing, basically how it became a business was I went from doing shoes on canvas to having shoes as the canvas. Mm-hmm. Did that for a few years, started posting stuff on like NikeTalk.com and stuff like that.
So you're talking about like getting all whites and like painting them was the
main
thing?
Color really, that's kind of a joy that I have of, I don't pick the shoe before I pick what's going to be on the shoe. A lot of times people are like, here's an all white, do this. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But like for instance, his Beat Street album cover up there, it's yellow with that like bright pink and all that. I want to find a shoe that already has one of those colors involved, the base of it,
or something that you can play off
instead of an all white, because you can always tell that an all white shoe was an all white before, because that sole is probably going to be all white, and you can't paint rubber. You can dye it, you can do different things to it, but like realistically, an all white shoe, you can tell that it was an all white shoe. I guess kind of a trick of ours, because a lot of times people just look at our shoes and go, "How the fuck do they do that? Like what release was that? And that's a big trick of ours. You know, we scour trying to find the proper base shoe for a project, and then build upon that. That also made it easier for us to scale too, because if we can get a shoe that's 30% there, that's 30% less labor.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So when you go from art on a canvas to art on a shoe, you know, then I started building a following doing that in 2012. But at that time, I was an energy efficiency consultant, and I was going home to home appointments, and I was making good money doing that. But my boss had been telling me, man, you got something going on here with these shoes. You know, like I was making decent money in my spare time, but I was working 50 plus hours a week. It took my dad being diagnosed with colon cancer for me to quit. So when I quit, all I thought was, you know, Dad's got limited. He was diagnosed with 4/4 colon cancer. I knew his time was limited. Quit my full-time job, focused on shoes and him and being able to spend time with him.
Of course.
He lasted 2 years, fought hard. But the cool part about that is from making that decision, that was in October of 2012 to quit my full-time job. 2013, Spurs are in the finals with the Heat. And this is before it was me, got hooked up with a guy connected with the Miami Heat. He was a yacht broker. Mm-hmm. And that got me connected with LeBron. It was basically a bet between me and LeBron that if he beat the Spurs, that he got a custom shoe from me for free on the house. But he would have to provide the base shoe. And if the Spurs won, then he'd have to buy a custom shoe from me. That year, they beat us.
Yeah.
So I get a package in the mail with a LeBron, his size, the LeBron 10. So I make the shoe for him, send it to him. Guy called me. He was like, hey, man, I just dropped it off with LeBron. I left your business card there. He was kind of half asleep, but like, you know, he might post it. And he ended up posting it. And then that was right around the same time when I had just established an Instagram account, and then he shouted me out on that. And
didn't it get some coverage too? I'm pretty sure
it got big coverage because then that summer, you know, the teams every summer they have media day where all the media outlets from all over come in, and it's like all news outlets from all over the United States, sometimes all over the world will come in and interview these. It's like all they do all day is interviews. Media day is all over the media. Yeah. And sure enough, like there he is wearing my shoes. So like that got tons of coverage, ended up on the cover of Sports Illustrated Kids, like ended up on a bunch of magazine covers.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, and that was my first celebrity or athlete.
Yeah, because I knew about the LeBron story and all that stuff. I didn't realize that it had gotten that much exposure for it, like past the shout out on IG and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Like I'm a little disconnected to news and stuff like that. I didn't even think I had cable back then.
Yeah.
But
so that was before I did anything for the Spurs. Yeah. But that, you know, or anybody. I mean, that was my first. I'd done a shoe for Ronnie. You know who Ronnie Fieg is?
No.
He's a shoe designer. Very well known. She owns Kith. You know Kith?
Oh, of course.
It's Kith.
Okay.
Ronnie Fieg is Kith. So before LeBron, I had done shoes for him, which was insane. That he left me an email and was like, he was like, hey, it's Ronnie. Here's my phone number. Give me a call. I saw those shoes you did.
That's wild, man.
And this was on a Sunday morning, and I saw that he had just sent the email. So I was like, well, if he sent an email on a Sunday, I'm going to call him on a Sunday. I called him. He answered. I talked to him for like an hour. It was at that time, that was the most mind-boggling thing ever because like I had a bunch of his shoes, you know, and like it was his whole story is crazy, you know, and really somebody I looked up to. But then right after that was the LeBron thing, you know, and then it snowballed after that and continues to.
I mean, dude, a shout out and that type of coverage from LeBron, I'd have to imagine like the business skyrocketed for you at that point.
It did, but that was early ages of Instagram. So I got a lot of following from that. But like if you looked at, he probably had 2 million followers at that time. And now he's got 180 million or something like that, you know, so it's a whole lot different than if you were to shout it out today.
Still though, the value of going viral back then and getting that type of exposure
from anybody.
If
anybody right
value.
now were to start a business and get a shout out from somebody with 2 million, it's valuable now.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know, so like, I'm not saying that it's invaluable or whatever.
No, definitely not.
But
I think
today would be
back
totally
then, though,
different.
it's still. I think the magnitude of it is still just as big back then. as it would be today of getting it. A little bit differences though.
Less
today.
common back then.
I think less common back then. Yeah, exactly. How many shoe influencers or shoemakers were there back then? You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I could not count on one hand. I'm sure there was plenty, but now there's probably on one hand. I live in a gated community with less than 80 homes in it. And I could probably say there's probably 10 kids in that gated community that call themselves sneaker customizers.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's a hard thing now to get into and like make a name for yourself. You got to be doing something incredible.
Oh yeah.
And you got to be on top of TikTok, and you got to be like doing something to really differentiate yourself to like make it from nothing to, being
pretty much like that in almost any industry on social media. We've covered the importance of marketing before. Like I did a sit down with Question, and we talk a lot about all this stuff, man.
Yep.
But I think that obviously you're an OG in it. You know what I'm saying? Like you've been in this game for a long time, and to get
stumbled into it.
Yeah, but it's been a while. I mean, 2013 was, I guess you could say, was when you really got your big break, right?
Yeah.
That's 11 years ago.
It's a good way.
It's a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it is a lot easier to get noticed now.
Yeah.
Like for instance, one of my trucks that works with me over at El Camino, Bus and Q. Guy had one foodie come through, post a video of the Dino Rito. I don't know if you've seen the burrito with the Dino rib in it.
Yeah.
Pulls the bone out, all that stuff. Dude, it's like at 28 million views.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's
like,
crazy.
I think the time to like be in especially an artist, something like what you do is like no better time than today.
Yeah.
But yeah, the competition is.
And by the way,
tough.
I have nothing that I have has gotten even remotely near that many views. I don't think I have anything over 700,000 views.
But you don't need it. Because you're selling.
It's established.
It's established, but if you get 1,000 views, chances are there's going to be a few people in there that are going to buy something from you.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Food videos are...
Or at least inquire.
Yeah, exactly. Food videos, 28 million is pretty outrageous. I've gone viral a few times with several things that I've done, even in food, but it's a little bit different because, 28 million people ain't gonna come and buy it.
That'd be wild if they did.
But they are coming out. They're coming from Kansas. They're coming from across the country to get this burrito. Like, oh, we wanted to come to San Antonio and try this burrito, right? So anyway, I think that social media side of it. If you're gonna get into the sneaker customization game, you really got to come with it on your marketing and your advertising.
Definitely.
And like you said, be doing something next level because there's probably not too much that hasn't already been done, right? I mean, unless
and it for a lot of people that are doing the really cool shit that are new right now, a lot of times it's not even what they're doing with or on the shoe that's cool. It's how they're covering it on social media.
Exactly.
It's the video and the audio and the ASMR, type stuff that are propelling a lot of artists right now. Now, granted, I don't know if these are guys that can sustain making a career out of that,
There's a shoe customizer, I guess a painter, right? Like somebody that actually does mainly artwork on shoes and stuff like that. It's a lady, I don't know her name, but I remember seeing it and her content did pretty well. She obviously, she looks good, attractive, but she's doing these really cool flowers and stuff like that on Air Forces and all whites and then other shoes and stuff like that. Had a solid following, but that was her style. She didn't do anything else. It was just, flowers and that style of art, and obviously she's selling shoes. I actually emailed her. I was like, "Yo, how much for a pair? How long does it take? Whatever." And she gave me her pricing sheet and all that stuff. So I think obviously having your niche and marketing yourself to that. The one thing that you do, I think that I don't. I'm sure it's been done. I don't follow a lot of sneaker customizers, but I remember seeing one promo or one reel or video that you posted on IG. You were shopping materials and going to the fabric store and doing all that stuff. So you go a little bit more than just, painting, right? I mean, you do full-blown customizations.
Yeah, so that kind of jumped into, I guess, one of the next things. On that LeBron shoe, that was one of the first shoes that I did any kind of sewing. And I had a guy in New York. I couldn't find anybody here that did laser engraving back then. So I found a guy in New York, make some laser engraved acrylic trophies, championship trophies. And I drilled holes in them and then hand sewed those to the shoe, Archaic to think now, but that jumped me into okay, I can now embellish shoes with other things. And it just, like I said, the domino effects, because then it became all right, I could take a swoosh off a shoe and hand sew it back on, or I could take or remove the tongue off the shoe and rebuild that from scratch, the back tab, whatever it might be. Then that moved into like, for instance, like some of these older shoes that I was collecting even back then before, like it was kind of the pioneering of like sole swaps, you know, like this, like, well, this shoe was made in 93. This shoe was made in 2013, same model. If I rip the upper off of this one, I could put it on the sole onto this one and make it wearable again, you know? Like that was like,
I remember seeing those videos.
That was like, you know,
that kind
back
of goes
then
like,
was like, wow. Like
that's like upholstery. That's like literally you're bringing something back to life.
Yeah, you're making that shit street legal again, you know? Like it's like, that was like, it just opened up a whole another thing. So learning how to sew and learning how to glue a sole on a shoe, you know, in these very, again, archaic and just like figuring it out kind of a way. And then you just start learning and developing. For me, I didn't have anybody to teach me how to do any of this. Back then there was no videos to show you how. This was like me developing a lot of this, and like, you know, maybe a few other artists out there like doing the same thing. And well, how'd you do that? You know, like talking with them, you know, and like, and that's how these styles and techniques kind of happen. And then you realize like, oh, there's neighborhood so-and-so boot repair guy. He probably knows the thing. Let me go hang out with that guy and figure this out. So like I started doing that. I started going Juan Urbina, he passed away from cancer recently, but I would go to his boot and shoe repair, and he's an old, you know, from Mexico, you know, dude just making shoes. I'd learn from him, you know. Mm-hmm. He was like, yeah, man, bring a 6-pack of beer by. You can do whatever you want here. So I'd bring him beer and he'd show me how to do whatever, you know, and learning from him things. And then, you know, really just learning from mistakes and, you know, getting dirty, you know, is.
So did you just go to the thrift store, get a bunch of shoes just to
tear them apart, see how they're put together? Back together? Yeah. And then a lot of times they wouldn't get put back together, you know.
Yeah, that's
but
me. I don't think I've ever successfully put anything back together. I'll take some shit apart though.
You kind of keep seeing how it's taken apart for so long, you'll kind of, you know, and then but I think what really opens it up is when you're like, say you're a car customizer and you're like, all right, I took this, you know, 57 Chevy apart. If you're trying to restore it to original, yeah, you're going to have to like stick to this is how it needs to get done.
Yeah.
But when you're doing something custom or trying to create something new, once you open up that part of your mind where it's like, I don't have to stick within these quadrants. You can make your own damn thing.
Yeah, you get creative with it.
You get creative and fumble and mess up and find new things in the fumbling process to create something of your own. And I think that's like, for me, the like most important thing, you know, it's like we try to do something new and that we fumble onto on almost every project, you know, just to keep things moving, you know, and keep things fresh and new and different.
Well, that shows. I mean, you literally created your own sneaker. I mean, that's, you know, when I first saw it, I was pretty mind blown about it because I mean, I started thinking about like people's thought processes. I usually try to put myself in your shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like literally. As far as literally, I was like, yo, how did he do this? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it's kind of how maybe my ADHD, I don't know, because I'm always wanting to do different businesses. And like the thought comes in, like maybe I can make custom shoes, right? Yeah. And I literally thought, I was like, how did you make your shoe? And then I saw your IG reel talking about, you know, the design process and how long it took and sending the shoe back and getting it remade, and you made a mistake, but the mistake worked out and you liked
almost wanting to quit and like, you know, just getting this close to just throwing it all away and then just like, all right, now reel myself back in and, you know, and like, all right, let's keep this going. We're almost there.
I mean, I got to ask, like, what, just R&D alone and being able to get, you know, your initial concepts going, I mean, what type of investment did you have to make into even like getting it started?
So again, we did the pre-sale, which is huge because for one, when you're making shoes, you need to design and then you send those designs to a factory in China. Then they do what's called a pullover, where they put tape on you know what a last is? Mm-hmm. So you get a last, which is a mold of a foot that's in the shape of what the inside of that shoe would be.
Yeah.
So they put tape all on that, and then they take your drawing and they redraw it 3-dimensionally by hand onto a last. And then from there, they can peel that tape off and lay that flat on like a piece of manila folder and then cut out those pieces. So now you have flat pattern pieces
that they sew together.
That and then they cut that out of leather, and then they sew that together, and they make a pullover as your first like start. And usually that pullover is far from what it needs to be, but it's the start, and you can tell that it looks kind of like what you're going for. And then from there, you make alterations. You draw on that, and you make alterations to figure out, okay, this needs to move here, this is taller here, shorter here, longer here, whatever.
How long was the whole process from like start to finish of like getting this concept out, to bring it to life?
With doing everything else, a long process. If we didn't have all this other stuff to do, taking up most of our time and carving out these windows to like do this design stuff, it would have been a lot quicker. But 2021 was when we
took a few years
started. Wow. Yeah. So it's been a while.
But even if let's just say this was the sole thing that you focused on, got to at least take 6 months, a year? Because if you're shipping back and forth from China and all that stuff. And then,
So our first, when we first got that pullover and we made some adjustments, we were working with a whole different factory, and then they made our first sample, and every sample was like $1,200. That you have made. And
how many samples did you make?
At that factory, 3,
okay.
And then
you spent some money. And
then we figured out, okay, we started thinking about business wise. All right, like their minimums are 250 pairs. They want money up front, for that, and we start thinking all these things, and it's like, all right, well, I don't think I'm gonna be able to sell 250 pairs off bat, like especially at the retail that they're gonna have to be, even if we did them pre-sale, like. So then we started working with other factories and different contacts that I had, and came up with kind of like my buddy Rich, he's in Philly and Connecticut area up there, but he manages another artist who's been doing this consistent for the last few years, the pre-sale thing. And he basically takes his designs, and then he's the middleman and the connect with all the factories in China.
Gotcha.
And I started working with him, and then we kind of basically piggybacked with the other artist. His name's Mosh. We started taking his designs to this other factory as well. And then we kind of made like a deal to where we could get lower minimums with this factory if we all kind of went with that factory.
It's crazy how everything's like the dope game. I was already in my head thinking, I was like, all right, I'm going to fly to China. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go to the warehouse area where they're making all the shoes. I'm going to find the plug.
Yep.
And then just get it direct. But
so we could have done that, but at the same time, I had friends already in the industry, and also we're so busy with everything else that we're doing and all that like if I would have flown to China, found a factory, then I'd have to be up in the middle of the night dealing with them, and then I'd have to find. They don't supply the materials. You got to find the material. They make the shoe. So
that's crazy. So you have to supply material too,
which is what my buddy Rich, which is what Rich does.
That's wild.
So like in our costs, people may look at our price. Our shoe is $249.
I didn't bat an eye at it. I was like, yo, that's a custom shoe. I mean,
Like, but a lot of people may look at it and go like, God dang, I can buy Jordans for $220. And it's like, but Jordans, they make 800,000 pairs of the same one.
Exactly.
And with us, the factory, Rich, we send him the info. He finds the materials. The other thing is the sole. Like, in order if we wanted to design our own sole from scratch, then we'd have like $1,500 into every mold. And imagine if you're doing from size 5 to 14.
You have to make a mold for each size.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8. Like, you see these numbers start
like 15
piling
G's almost, like at least.
more than that.
Yeah,
way more than that. Way more than that. And so then we decided to pick a sole that already existed, that they already had. And what we did was, like, I literally looked up like most popular streetwear sole, and what comes up is what Virgil used on his first signature shoes, which was the Vibram Spike, is what they call it. And if you look up Vibram Spike, you'll see brand after brand after brand after brand after brand using that sole.
Oh, there's tons of brands that use Vibram.
Yeah, but specifically the Spike.
Okay.
They called it the Spike. They call it the Mountaineering is what they call it. The Spike is what Vibram calls it, but like it got the nickname the Mountaineering sole because tons of like North Face and all these brands like that started using it, and they use them for like almost like a hiking sole. And
so Virgil took that sole
and he started using it on his Off-White branded stuff, like not Off-White Nike, not other like his actual branded
down, right?
Off-White stuff. So he didn't have to mold his own soles. So he started like that. So I was like, well, if Virgil started like that, I'm going to start like that. And I picked the same exact sole. That's the sole that we have.
That's dope.
Yeah. But then I took it a step further. With Vibram, they're very specific on the colors that they take on. Their logo's yellow, so they don't want you to put anything else yellow around their yellow logo. They want their yellow logo to stand out. So for us, that would have been on the bottom. That would have been I could never use a yellow bottom on anything. I didn't like that. 2, I wanted to do possibility of clear soles, glow-in-the-dark soles, fades from on the midsole from front to back, speckling on the midsole. Vibram won't do any of that. All things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So when you buy a cutback off the website, we have on the website that it's an 8 to 10 week turnaround. We say that to be safe. You'll probably end up getting them quicker than that, but at least legally we're protected. We warned you it's going to be an 8 to 10 week turnaround on.
I was hoping you bring my shoes with you, man, but it's all good.
Yeah, but yeah, so that 8 to 10 week turnaround we would have been able to hit if we were on Vibram. So Vibram has like a 12 week turnaround on their stuff, so if we would have, sales ended yesterday, we submitted orders today, then it's going to be 12 weeks till we get our soles. That's not going to fit in that 8 to 10 week timeline. So the factory that we went with just so happened to have molded and copied the Vibram sole for themselves. So it's basically the same sole with minor changes from the Vibram. From the side, it looks exactly the same. From the bottom, it's a little bit different. From the back, it's a little bit different. From the side profile, it looks exactly the same. But with that, we're able to use yellow. We're able to do clear, glow in the dark, speckles, fades, all that. And it's done in-house in the same factory. So turnaround times are going to be nothing. They're probably going to start them tomorrow, So like we kind of, and the cost, obviously doing that, a lot is eliminated there. The reason why our shoe is $249, not $149, is because Rich and what his company does, they do all the research. They do all the, they know all the factories. They know all the tanneries and all the places that, you buy the cloth, the padding, the suedes, the pigskin, whatever, all that stuff, the foams. They source all that, send to the factory, use this. He's the one up in the middle of the night. So he needs to get his cut for what he does. But also he's the one getting the custom boxes made. He's the one getting the custom drawstring
legwork, man.
Drawstring bags made.
Insane.
He's the one getting the custom paper in those boxes, the stuffing that's in the shoes.
He works middle of the night because of time change, right? He has to be on China's time, right?
Exactly, yeah. So he's doing all of that, and basically he's a fulfillment center because when the shoes come from China, they're in a bag, with a knot tied, and they're all thrown in a big box. He unpacks them, takes them all out of the bag.
Got to package them.
They're all unlaced because he outsources laces from other places. And then he'll let them air out, stuff them, quality check them, lace them, attach the lace bag with the extra laces, form the box, put the paper in, put the shoes in, put the drawstring bag in, close the box, circle the size on the box of what it was, put that in the shipping box, print out your labels, put it on there, and then take it to the post office.
Isn't it funny that like most people when they see, like you said, they like, $249 or whatever, $259, it's like
they don't think about all that.
All that.
Yeah.
Like, I think about all that. It's literally all I think about is like logistics. How much did it cost? How much time did you take, to do it?
And imagine if I didn't have him doing that, all of my day would have been taken to do all of that for every shoe that gets sold and having to find, I don't know where all that stuff is and how to source and find all those things. He's got it. He's taking care of it.
People don't think about stuff like that, man.
Our cost has all of that in rolled up into one to where we just have one number, and then we have We sell the shoe, customer pays shipping. It's very cut and dry for us, the model, Now, if we can get a steady clientele, to where we know, like, we can foresee, okay, this shoe's going to sell 200. This shoe, we're projecting 400, whatever. If we wanted to and we're ahead sampling-wise, our goal is to do a release a month. But if we're ahead sampling-wise 4 or 5 months ahead, and we know, okay, we're doing pretty good, here's our numbers, I bet this one will sell 400 of, we'll go in and order those 400 and do size runs. And we'll be able to put them on our website for sale at retail. Right now, we can't do that. You know what I mean? We're doing pre-sales so we can kind of figure out who our customer is, how many, what kind of numbers we're doing. Is this something we want to even do? We'll figure out all that. And if it moves in the right trajectory, hopefully by this year, you won't have to wait 8 to 10 weeks. And we'll be months ahead to where if we want to release, for instance, our goal is to, by 420 next year, have a 420 shoe that you can buy and get by 420 to wear on 420. And we'll limit them and number them 1 of 420, 2 of 420, like that. So
Just call LeBron, man. Have him give you another shout out with the new shoe.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure you got Spurs players. Some people, obviously in the
you
local.
would think.
No. What? You got a great following, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a lot of the local community that will support it. Like I said, I caught my pair. I can't wait till they come in. I'll post it on all my platforms.
Oh, yeah.
I got a decent little following. You know what I'm saying? Like,
definitely.
It's to see it in the city. Colorways. I mean, when I first saw them, I'm like, yo, you can do this shoe like 1,000 different ways.
Exactly,
you know
and that's a big thing on how I designed those panels, because I wanted there to be real estate on the shoe to tell stories, and not just my stories. I want, like, for instance, I can probably give a little bit of leaked info here. Our one of our samples is in the office with the Dallas Mavericks right now. Mm-hmm. So they're discussing buying a bunch of pairs up front that they will sell on their website. So if we can make that deal, there's so much we could do with a Dallas Mavericks cutback, There's so much with anything. So, like, we've presented Quick Trip with designs already. We've presented Sprite with designs, and the Sprite one looks dope.
Who'd you post the other day? Was a drink. I swear I seen it in your stories. Was it Double Chico or no? Modelo. I see Modelo. Like that was.
We do a lot of work with Modelo.
That's dope.
Yeah,
I love it.
A lot of work.
Especially like in boxing and all sorts of like avenues to go with custom shoes and stuff.
Yeah, Modelo, Corona, Pacifico. We work with them a lot, and we got a lot of stuff in store this year with specifically, I think, Corona.
One thing that's popping in my mind, hearing your backstory and kind of where you're at right now with the projects that you're working on. At what point do you think was the mental pivot into not just being an artist but also being a businessman? Because you sound, I know you are very savvy. You sound like you really know what you're talking about as far as the process from start to finish, selling the shoe, retail, the cost that goes behind it, all the logistics, right?
Yeah.
But when did that start happening for you? Because making shoes, getting DMs and stuff like that, cool, right? But you're rubbing elbows with major companies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's funny because my dad was a sales guy, and he was kind of, you make your own future kind of thing, so he was big on taking chances. He was big on, believing in yourself, and, the whole, for every sale that you don't make, you're one closer to the sale kind of thing, so I at that, efficiency job that I had, that energy efficiency, I'd go a week sometimes with no sale, and I'd hit him up and he'd go, "Oh, hey man, that's a slow week. That means you got a big week coming up," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." And then I would, it's one of those things. But I think having my dad being really into sales and teaching me a lot of stuff before he passed in that sales world, and then just being thrown into the mix, exactly how I'm dressed like this is how I go to boardroom meetings, like major stuff,
I love it though, man. That's I don't put on a suit for nobody unless it's a funeral.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And but yeah, it's
And a wedding. That's about it.
yeah. Being kind of just thrown into the mix, you have to like force yourself to adapt. But I think I started seeing the fun in it all too. You know,
Well, it's a unique set of skills that you have because I think for artists in general, most like really like hardcore artists are only artists and can never be both, business savvy and the artist, right? You see it all the time in music, especially, you know what I'm saying? But because I feel like it's two different wavelengths in your brain, you know what I mean? Like
totally.
Being a creator and
they both kind of conflict each other.
They conflict each other a lot, you know what I'm saying?
And I think realizing that and knowing that, like, think of sales as an art, or think of what you're doing as more like, I guess for the standard client that we deal with, we're making a custom shoe for them. But when in terms of like these big companies, they could care less about the shoe at the end of the day. Like, they want it to be dope. But what they're wanting to do is they want to be able to tell their story through you and their shoes. We get to price them and sell them on a whole lot more than a sneaker. You know what I mean? And they see the value in that. You know?
For sure. Brand deal's a little bit different. You're not
brand
making
deal's totally different.
You're not making a shoe for them to sell. I mean, like, they'll dump big dollars at it.
Yeah, they're giving it away. So it's like,
or if like, a professional athlete wears them, or it's
Totally.
something, it's a lot different than just, they're not trying to do a drop for $250. They're trying to get, Canelo to wear it or something
exactly.
like that, right?
Yeah.
Do you have I don't know, man. Do you have like a switch that you got to turn off? Like when you go in creative mode, do you have to like do anything, or you just constantly you can handle business and be an artist at the same time?
Exactly.
That's dope. I love that shit. I feel like I'm kind of there because I've been an artist. I've been into music.
It's probably just second nature.
It's for me, but now I focus more on the business side of things.
Yeah.
But if you look at my concepts, I've created all of them. You know what I mean? Like if you when you go to Perfect Tender and you go to my hot chicken joint, I literally told my guy Scotch, I'm like, yo, I want this like this. I want these colors. You know what I'm saying? I want my bar to look like this. We epoxied the bar ourselves. I mean, it was me, my mom, my guys. I'm like, we just had epoxy and just went to town on it, had fun with it. You know what I'm saying? El Camino, super colorful.
Yep.
The lights, all that stuff is my vision. So I do feel like I am an artist. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, I'd say it's more like a 70-30 now. You know what I mean? More like 80-20. I'm like, I still got to have that creative side of me, but, it's a
I would
lot
say
of business.
For me now, I'd say most of my time is spent business-wise now. Meetings, Zoom calls, emails, constant. But that's my like till 6, 7 o'clock. Then my artist side turns on, and then I do art until 4 in the morning. So like my brain doesn't turn off. Even when I'm in bed, my brain doesn't turn off.
No, man, I gotta take melatonin because I have that problem too. I cannot sleep.
No,
it's just
tired as hell.
You're tired,
but
for sure.
It's sleep is a cousin of death kind of things. Like if I'm not moving and hustling, then I feel like I'm stagnant.
What's your vision for this whole thing though? Like you got the name, you got the accolades and the recognition, all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's your dream with Dank & Co, with your shoes, with your company, with everything that you're doing?
I think we have a lot of fun doing the custom stuff, so we want to keep doing that, keep doing the brand stuff. We love doing that. That's like our bread and butter. But we would like to keep pushing the cutback, and then introduce another model and kind of keep pushing that, as well and build with that. But we do have a lot of other ideas that we want to incorporate within that kind of realm that we want to do behind the scenes though, to where like the Dank & Co is not connected to that, to where we want to. That kind of stuff is where we're going to have to stretch our legs with our contacts and stuff, and we got to figure out like funding and like investors and stuff like that on that project that I won't really speak much on, but like with that kind of thing, it won't even be connected to what I do. It'll be a whole nother venture, kind of in the same space, but completely different.
What's your dream vision for yourself though? Like not like shoes aside, I mean, like, do you want to be like a Virgil? Do you want to be like that? Like, is that the life goal? No, I don't do well with.
I mean, I do well, I guess, with the spotlight shit, but like I have a following, but I'm not a huge following, and I'm sure you can attest to this, that it's sometimes you want to throw your phone in the river.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Everything, there's not bad news. It's not like you're dealing with bad shit. You're just dealing with shit. I can completely understand how like Bieber and Britney and shit, like how they go crazy. I completely understand. And I'm not a fraction of the following that these kind of people get. But the just constant being under eye, constant just being pressured to be dank, you know, and to like have so, it sounds horrible to say, but like to just have so many people watching and wanting to be in contact and with you and a part of what you're doing and just on your radar and just it gets to be a lot.
It is a lot, man.
And I don't want to wish that away.
No, it's a good problem to have, but at the same time, it's like, you know, there's obviously reasons for it. Like, you know, I have kids, and I'm here thinking yesterday, I mean, like, I'm on my phone all day. I actually am very lucky that I'm really good at multitasking, but also managing from afar. Like, I could be in Mexico right now and get shit done.
Yeah.
Right? I got a remodel going on. I don't even need to be there because I can rely on my crew. I got good guys working for me, and I got cameras everywhere. I can be like, hey guys, what's this? You know what I'm saying? Or I need you to do this. Focus on this. But I'm on my phone, dude, from when I wake up. It's like 7:45 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I usually wake up right around there.
I'm behind before I wake up.
I'm behind before I wake up. My phone's going off. It's buzzing. And my wife usually just stresses out because usually the first text in the morning is like, hey, our fucking AC is leaking and you got a giant puddle in your bar or, you know, whatever, right? There's always some kind of headache. And then like you said, dude, people go out of their way just to like, get my phone number, you know, DM me like, yo, I got a food truck, or how do I get in the food truck, and all these million questions and stuff like that, you know, to be at one of my spots. And dude, I just want to throw my shit away. It's like I'm with my family, missing out on my family. Yeah,
you know? And I get caught sometimes where like you almost say things to your loved ones that you don't mean, you know, where
you're stressed out.
You're just that stressed, and like I'll look at my phone, and it'll be like some of my best friends or my mom, and I'll just be like, before I even get to like talk to them, then another call's coming, and then it's like
back to back to back.
You just feel helpless. You know, you just want to literally throw your shit in the river. And like,
I think there's a way to balance it though, man. You know, I'm trying to get to the point to where, you know, I'm bringing more people on, and eventually it's already kind of crossed my mind, and I'm sure you're going to get there if you're not already there where you should be. You know, maybe just getting somebody that is your go-to. Like, they handle the phone calls for you, and the only ones you talk to is the board meeting ones and the ones that you really, really need to be involved with, or like, you know, the projects that you have going on. Because I feel like the problem that I have right now is I do let myself get sucked into a lot of the, because I mean, you probably have thousands of DMs from people wanting some custom shoes from you, right?
Yep.
I think you're probably at that point where maybe you shouldn't answer those DMs anymore. You shouldn't even be on your IG page.
And that
you know
that also, you know, nerve racks me. Because like I want to be able to answer everybody.
You want to, yeah.
I don't want to ever hear the complaint where it's like, yeah, Dank didn't answer me.
Yeah.
I'm like, because then I won't sleep either because of that.
Yeah,
you know?
It's tough. But you know,
I posted recently that I'm an overthinker. I posted it, and everything that they said on there was like, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Like, and it's all, none of it's bad. It's just like that, you know, it just piles up. You know, it just gets to be too much where you just want to, at the end of the day, like put your phone in the fishbowl and scream in a pillow.
But you know, you said it yourself. You're at the point in life in your business where, you know, you can choose what you want to do, and I think that's kind of like the key to it. You know what I'm saying? Pick your headaches versus you know, allowing everybody to give you a headache. You know what I mean?
But it's not even headaches.
It's
good shit.
It's good shit.
Good people. It's people that love me and want to talk to me.
It's
but
a lot to manage, man. It's so much. It's like,
you can have too much of a good thing.
You can have too much of a good thing for
sure.
Like, for sure, man.
With anything you can, and like, it sucks. Wouldn't wish it any other way though.
No, man. I'd rather have these types of problems than not. Right?
Yeah. Imagine nobody hitting you up.
Yeah, that sucks too. I've had that. You're doing stuff on a whole nother level, man. I mean, it's like literally like dream stuff for me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm happy that you say that because like a lot of people see, like I said, they see just so much of what they see online, you know, but behind the scenes is insane.
Well, like I said, man, I mainly only think about the behind the scenes stuff. You know what I'm saying? The consumer is going to think about make me a dope pair of shoes.
Yep.
That's it. You know what I mean? But there's so many more moving parts to, you know, business in general, especially your business, right? I mean, you got a lot on your plate, you know what I'm saying? Like with the shoe drops and then trying to manage all the rest of the business. You
Yeah.
know? So I guess it kind of leads me to like my last question. You know, what kind of advice would you give to somebody looking to start this path? Some good words for
I
them.
answer this question damn near daily because I get DMs constantly about it. The same thing I tell these people, the same people I told one of my assistants, Roland. I understand that, like, being there and being able to answer these questions and all that, like, could change somebody's life or whatever. But, like, realistically, like, there's not much advice that I could really give because everybody kind of needs to find their own way. What I told him and what a lot of people really need to take to heart and really learn is, like, stop asking for help. Stop asking for people to basically figure it out for you, you know? You need to figure it out for yourself. You need to get dirty and learn from mistakes. So when I tell people that, I literally say the same thing. I should have it saved on my phone. I just say, get dirty, learn from your mistakes, start right now. That's probably not going to be what they want to hear, but it's what they need to hear.
I actually really respect that you said that shit because I'd say it's a 50-50 for me. I do, on occasion, make time for people, and I'll send them a quick voice memo, answer the question, because it's a good amount of people, man. I'd say, you know, messages of, how do I get into a food truck? How much does it cost? Where can I buy one? How did you do it? A lot of how did you do it type thing, you know what I'm saying? But you hit it on the head, man. I mean, when I had got my start in the food truck game, I didn't ask nobody shit.
No.
I fucking Googled it. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially with today, like we didn't have this thing starting out. You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't that many like tutorials on how to edit video back in 2008.
If you can't figure it out nowadays, but putting 3 words in YouTube, then you probably shouldn't be doing this shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, but if you can just putting in the work and learn from mistakes is going to teach you way better shit than hearing anything from anybody else.
Like a question that doesn't annoy me now, I guess for my business would be like, yo, where can I buy a food truck?
Yeah.
How do I open a food truck? Because how do I open a food truck? Dude, that's a fucking loaded question.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know, how do I become a shoe customizer? You know what I'm saying?
How do you start manufacturing a shoe?
Yeah.
Find other people that do that. You know, like
go to China.
Yeah. Like,
catch a flight.
It's hard, but like with Roland, for my assistant, he took that and he said, okay, cool. He didn't say anything else. He took that. 2 weeks later, he sends me a picture of a shoe made from scratch. And I was like, holy shit. He actually took my advice. This looks dope, man. Good job. Hey, man, keep it going. You know, let me know how the next one looks. And he sent me another message like 2 weeks later with like another one that looked even better. Now he works for us.
That's dope, man.
You know, but like.
But he took the initiative. He actually
The reason why I started doing that is because so many people ask you because they want you to tell like the shortcuts.
There are none.
There are none. There really is none.
You're talking. You already said what? So
they're long cuts.
Yeah, 20 years of doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like more on a serious level.
A lot of people are getting into it because they want to be famous, or they don't want to work their full-time job. You know, they want to do something that looks fun. Yeah, it's fun. But if I got into this because I wanted to make my own hours, this is the wrong fucking business. Because I work way more hours than
it's fucking.
I don't have a life,
man.
You know, like I work way more hours than I ever would.
From the time that you wake up to the time that you go to sleep.
Literally.
Basically.
Literally. And I'm doing stuff when I wake up and take a piss and I see my phone blinking. I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I'm going to answer it. You know, like it's nonstop.
What's your favorite sneaker right now? Like in general, like right at the moment, like
Cutback?
what do you think is hot? Like besides yours, yeah. Talk about on a retail level as a consumer.
Yeah.
What's your go-to right now?
Let's see. The 990 V6 New Balance.
I'm big on New Balance right now.
Yeah.
Same. I like the 990s.
Yeah.
What am I wearing right now? I got the Bodegas.
Oh yeah, those are great.
Yeah, 997s.
Crazy colorway. Great.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, New Balance, man, they're killing it.
Yeah, New Balance is killing it. I think Saucony's killing it lately.
Saucony is definitely made a good little comeback.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, there's a lot, dude. One thing I've had to really focus on though lately is like blinders on especially buying shoes, you know, but seeing what's out there, and I'm just hoping and praying that like dope shit doesn't come out because then it tempts me to buy. And like the last thing I want to be doing right now is buying sneakers when I need to be having my own on my feet and promoting them.
100%.
You know.
So I'll rock them for a good bit, man. I'll wear them everywhere. I should have bought 2. I should have thought about that.
Do they turn heads at Spurs games?
I bet, man. Dude, literally, it looks like an official Spurs shoe, but it's
Dude.
not. Don't sue us. No, don't sue them.
No, you're good. I cleared it with them before.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
And they said you
Yeah.
were good to use the colorway?
Good to go.
That's
Yeah.
dope, man. Is your goal with this to continue the design and then keep doing colorways and
Yeah.
seeing, what works?
We're gonna try to get at least 4 or 5 months ahead of ourselves so that we know, okay, this month we're gonna release this month we're gonna release this, but then we also want to very soon now start designing our second model so that maybe this time next year, we have a model to release, like a new model. We also hope that by this time this next year we have a idea of how many pairs we're selling on every release, and hopefully it's 420 or above, because that's the goal, would be to buy 420 pairs of our 420 release that we wanted to release this year. So we were going to release it this year, but we just didn't have enough time. But yeah, if we can get to that 400 mark, then I think we can have next year start with the 420. The name's Dank, but not because of weed.
Oh.
It's because of my last name. But Dank is just a nickname that I've had since forever. But like, I like the connotation of like, when you know like good weed, it's dank. So I love that connotation of knowing like, this is dank means like this is a good shit.
Oh yeah.
So we have that connection to the cannabis world, and because of that, it's opened up a lot of doors with cannabis companies and like High Times. We've worked with them and stuff, but like, so we do have a lot of people that follow us because of the name Dank, even though I've never smoked. But so doing a 420 release is.
I have, and I've inhaled.
I'm a spectator. I'm a spectator. I love being around it, but anyway, yeah, I think we have a strong community, of cannabis, culture followers, and I think it'd be the design that we have is probably one of my best designs for that one. It's super loud, but like a lot of fun. It's crazy.
Hit up Cookies, man.
That'd be dope. That would be really dope.
A Cookies Dank collab?
That'd be incredible.
Yeah, especially for a 420 drop.
Yeah.
One of the 420s.
Even if we're selling 1,000 pairs on average, I think it'd be dope to just make that one. Hey, this one, no pre-sale. There's 420 pairs. They'll be numbered, and they're on the website. You'll get them before 420, so you can wear them on 420. That's what I want to do for that next year.
I'll be on the lookout for it, man.
Yeah, so dankandco.com. You can go there and find all my socials on that. JW, and then my last name, Danklefs, Danklefs, is the Instagram. As you can tell, we did not start the Instagram as a business account. It was just a personal account and just kind of grew like that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have called it that. But that's the Instagram, dankandco.com. Just go there. You'll find everything you need there.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, chopping it up with me and giving me your story, man. It's definitely an inspiration. So, look forward to, speaking with you again one day.
For sure.
And, yeah, man, thanks. I can't wait to get to get my shoes. If you could expedite it, man, I
have a
it.
feeling it will be expedited.
I'll fuck with you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I can't wait, man. So,
Definitely.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Yep, for sure.
It's been another episode of the Hunger for More podcast. I'm Ricky Ortiz. You could follow me at the Hunger for More pod and the YouTube channel and subscribe and all that stuff.